we supposed to like leave these doors open, or can we close it? I don't know.
Last debate, it was closed. That's
Okay,
fine.
can you close it while you're setting them?
Yeah, sorry. I messed up this thing. Okay, so I can okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Ones. Yeah, I'm good. Let me just pull it. Okay. Okay, good. Contention one is populism. Populism surging, decimating global democracies. Picture 22, democracy sees the model of backsliding. Trump is producing declining American democracy. Trans-training democracies, countries split to humble rights and systematic parties, courts debating liberal emancipation, populist policies, ruthless shallow commitments, and its alliances that backsliding turns around the world. And backsliding cause extinction only revitalized democracy. Solves Belfield 23. Totalitarianism is more war porn and inhibited markets would collapse and extinction. Marxists rarely experience famines or trade restraints or rule. Totalitarianism is likely to have major wars. Miscalculation might be a problem. Raising attention to WMD totalitarianism like transparency to win to agreements is bad for pandemics or climate change. AI and broad technology society not mean the possibility of improving more has long-term potential to totalitarian world. Risk locking democracies are offering demonstrations better life is possible to totalitarian dominant world. Threaten humanity's long-term potential and carbon dividends all turn populism away from Trump's senseless Baker 17. Trump's victory stems from his frustration in economic insecurity, growing popular sentiment, yearning for change, carbon dividend, response to transit, trends the economy and elevates prospects, 70% would come out ahead, carbon dividends increase substantial income, minimizing carbon food, public centers, trade and investments, and remedies carbon dividend, and its most effective strategy for poverty reduction and financial resilience is Guidance 21. All countries cut down on fossil fuel by pricing carbon emissions. Voters support this carbon dividend project to meet net zero emissions would benefit households. Carbon dividend reduce poverty linearly. Carbon dividend called poverty more than fully face 50 model living wage. Carbon dividend is great infrastructure for further sensitivity to universal payment could have increased carbon dividend and help climate change, pollution, financial resilience, and poverty, and it's also inequality both in 21. Recycling scenario revenues redistribution quotas and beneficiary rather progressive recycling retirement action involve a trade over poor solution with a dividend action involves sustained focus on inequality demonstrates progressive benefits of progressive redistribution. Sorry, can we stop real quick? It wasn't scrolling. I'm gonna close the document. Okay. I was on redistributed on the Bulfordson evidence. Okay. Without progressive recycling, climate action involves trade over the poor solution with the dividend action involves synergy focus on inequality, demonstrate progressive benefits of progressive redistribution, trade off certain synergies of carbon dividend, and inequality deteriorates domestic institutional capacity and the breeds populism that magnifies every accidental risk estimate 21. High inequality will increase accidental risk institution, reduce accidental risk, high inequality decrease capacity, lead to elite capture, high inequality reduce capacity to respond to nuclear warheads, high warheads, wide webs lead to escalation, increase risk of conflict, and inequality also causes domestic terror that's noise 21. Terrorist incidents are outcomes of inequality, and an increase in Gini coefficient results in an increase in domestic terrorism results in poor institutional quality, corruption, and poor levels of HR. That's estimates critical infrastructure, that's O'Connell 20. HVE's targeted critical infrastructure to advance agendas, access to tech markets, and dark web terrorist organized activity of pipelines are real. One contractor could facilitate devastating us. Okay, I'm sorry. It's just like going really slow.
Open on another mode or like all of them.
Okay. My bad. Still like a little slow.
Do you need to give him all of that computer?
If it happens one more time, I don't think it will. Okay, one contractor on the second last code, O'Connell. One contractor could facilitate devastating events, advertise steal data, capitalize on activity until explosion vulnerabilities for college drones, or provoking number of efforts to harm explosive hazardous substances. 16, so that's bandwidth 15, risk factor mutualization, critical restriction, multiple steps, highly on your effect, numbers are coupled to fail test 8 may trigger for collapse, secondary effects, such as great death, every collapse could spread and undermine combating ecosystem, lots of paid poverty, wars, advantage to is warming. Climate change trigger feedback loops causing quick extinction, preferred peer-reviewed. Climate models to 18. Climate science may drought, scarcity, flooding, impair water quality, water essential for survival of nations, vulnerable disease, ocean acidification, or by emissions with 20% of world protein coming from oceans, impacts are obvious, events take place world at risk, feedback loops are forgotten. There are delays between CO2 and damage modeling shows feedback loops are heightened perturbation in CO2, and climate warming increases the rate at which matter decays, carbon release, shortages, perpetuate drought loss, vegetation suppresses rainfall, forest fires, connection, humanity off guard, Peru, apocalyptic event, water vapor, isolated feedback loss, and reflective sites, drive up temperatures leading to more melting vapor, water vapor pressure creates a warming given water vapor's gas properties, and okay, can I get off your computer? I'm sorry.
No, you're chill. I was on gas properties. Okay. Sorry.
Gas property undiscovered feedback to 10 great directions where double women can be a great institution at the same time result can be catastrophic and adaptation efforts fail, short-term gains are limited, and cause maladaptation that's like CC 23 adaptation becomes constrained, less effective, vulnerable, the population become difficult to avoid, research post-out, limits reach, wetlands reinforce will breach, adaptation limits measures will lose their effectiveness, actions and focus on short-term gains lead to maladaptation, gradient vulnerability, seawalls all result in lock-in, climate result, maladaptive response, worsening inequities and decreased resilience, and we're on the brink of passing climate catastrophic tipping points as plumber 23. Earth is likely to cross critical thresholds, nations need to shift away from fossil fuels, impacts of heat waves, flooding, and species should become harder for a handle. There's one last chance but require /carbon, current plants are insufficient, every fraction of warming is increased severity, willing to experience life-threatening heat, Earth don't face the heat of all countries to move faster food production, under strain diseases will spread, adaptation efforts are incremental, temperatures rising, world may face limits without shift, the world's uncertain delay, no 1.5 degrees Celsius up to humanity, and warming catastrophic reversible through carbon dividend creates a strong and predictable price signal that encourages broad economic transformation that's used to 21. Carbon taxation becomes central to climate change, carbon taxes are actually her industries that owned by wealthy shareholders, revenues can be redistributed over compensate support, households are increased costs, climate change, amplifying economic inequality, economic regime, carbon taxation, most important policy, climate change are fatal to disadvantaged groups, climate change will become water shortages and resource shortages lead to mass unrest, it's too difficult to maintain changes in the fossil fuel economy without price on carbon transition will require a pricing that boosts triggering in alternative industries. Tying this action rebate creates political durability that's key to facilitate long-term planning that avoids fossil fuel lock-in. This more 16. To ensure revenues will offset the burden of carbon tax and raise their other measures as centers of problems encourage to review other goals to build political support people and then bring up open to deviations from neutrality, accomplish goals, softening, will reduce opposition to an October date that bullshit expectations of businesses and people will be more valuable. Six of the international response will fall into two camps versus modelers. Some countries will uptake the planned tax and dividend approach. It's the only scheme that can diffuse opposition and create durable popularity. It's 21. 22. The poor can be shielded if all countries adopt carbon tax will be possible to meet the target while reducing inequality, alleviating poverty benefits are large. Distribution has positive effect on poverty, which generate 40 billion. If revenues would be increased, carbon taxes to reduce inequality, redistribution to both important leaders can do is demonstrate what successful carbon pricing looks like that can be created by emulated by other global universal income can be currently war leads to sharp action. And 2 is laggard. Some countries will choose not to model being subjected to border adjustments to solve leakage at Summit 20. Or to avoid catastrophic warming policymakers need to carbon tax methods to push companies off to addressing to its concerns of carbon tax reward adjustment political spectrum case may come volume revenues return to the dividend because BACs are preferable because alternative approaches would not shield companies from imports or other countries. The tax covers all emissions, allowing them to flow through the economy. Energy intensive industry paying the taxes easily administered. GHG tax results in leakage because carbon tax success on GHG in their market goods in countries that do not regularly pay higher import duty. Export rebates do not exceed domestic tax results in unfair promotion. Thus, the plain United States federal government should institute a substantial border adjusted carbon tax and basic income advantage to synergy. EU border adjustment is coming now, absent cooperation, and EU-related trade disputes are likely to charge 22. The EU brought TVs into follow US lawmakers worried about how much impact trade. The EU has certain concerns on both sides. The proponent carbon border fee said he wanted to be in concert with Europe. It may be very problematic. They go too far ahead, getting aligned. Make the border adjustment easier to implement. The US often the European market will come in for natural gas to Europe could increase competition in countries trying to redirecting carbon-heavy products to the United States and escalating trade tensions between the US and the EU over carbon tariffs undercut international cooperation. Only lining climate policies key to ease fragmentation of this coffin. And 23. Rising tensions between the US and the EU could undermine climate issues. US and the EU have competing trade proposals. Fair to align risk stoking trade tensions and would have international repercussions without coalitions or competition or to cut technologies. TBA treats domestic products and imports legally. U.S. has failed to adopt a carbon price and encouraging a shift to require cooperation and cooperation lead to reduced dependence on and decoupling from Chinese rare earth elements as common and in 23. The U.S. and the EU know are playing catch up with China. One country is making major interests to China versus their methods. Cut the reality of curtailing China's control of industries, negotiation to the pause, and aligning policies and creating synergy, counter China's rise in trade and security. Thus, European Route 22. The U.S. cannot afford to lose Europe and want to prevail rivalry. China, Europe's clean energy supply chains are dependent on China targeting dependencies to U.S. interests. Trade investments have boomed to maintain momentum. The U.S. must refrain from tilting the EU. Both sides will lose it, do not find a solution, and increase dependence on REEs lead to military aggression as false. 22. Rare earth demand carry implications for readiness. China's yet to restrict RE export aggression towards Taiwan would be a different story. The U.S. must minimize China's ability to limit sanctions in order to respond adequately. The U.S. must ensure that China's rare earth industry does not create Beijing influence. U.S. and its allies must divorce their industries from Chinese rare earths, and unmitigated Chinese power leads to global wars. Exchange in the space summer. 21. Danger of hot war. Beijing could build a military more powerful than the U.S., but Beijing has greater flexibility. Chinese nationalism and has been gathering team raise odds of war. Regional ambitions must secure Taiwan. There are a handful of potential conflicts that include Taiwan, South China Sea, islands, and routes. One cannot assume no nuclear escalation. One side losing battle, you would employ nuclear weapons. And U.S.-EU policy disputes must be resolved to contain and deter China's assaults in 23. The U.S. has been rankled by the lack of coordination with the U.S. There's no trade agreement between the EU and the U.S.
Here, there's a 2EC file. Can you open it up? Give me that.
The EU producers would not be eligible for higher subsidies for themselves. This advance and plus it is unlikely to increase European confidence. The US and the EU recognize we're in a new era that will require a more guarded approach to China. And the key question is whether they're headed towards a convergence in logic in favor of working sharply in China policies overwhelming.
Which one?
What are we looking for?
Wow, this is slow. Okay.
After this model globally as peers 12. A carbon tax is by far the most effective and least effective method of implementation of substantial carbon tax, providing that's a powerful incentive for research and development. And once the U.S. adopts a substantial carbon tax, will have the credibility to lead the rest of the world to agree on effective global mitigation effort. I'm gonna set that up.
You're sending it out right now?
Yeah.
Okay. As soon as it's sent, I'll be good. Okay. Are you good?
Can I just pull up the one he sent us?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Carbon taxes disproportionately harm consumers. How's it progressive?
Yeah, we would argue that it's progressive because we fund it and then we apply it to UBI.
It disproportionately harms consumers, though. It makes goods for consumers more expensive. How does that reduce inequality?
No, because the tax would be fundamentally burdened. The people who would be burdened most by the tax would be like the fossil fuel industries. who
Okay,
are-
makes sense. What is the carbon price?
We haven't specified the exact price.
But
Will you specify now?
sure, it's like $15.
$15 per ton?
Yeah.
Okay. Trump populists cite things like immigration, culture war items, religion, abortion, stuff like that as like the driving force for their politics. What does the AF do to reverse Trumpist perceptions of things like that?
Yeah, sure. The Baker evidence is good. It says that overall frustration and economic insecurity and popular sentiment and yearning for change would be responded through carbon dividend because it would relieve economic anxiety and it would elevate
Does
prospects.
this cite any studies? I mean, it seems like it's speculating that like people don't like inequality. I just listed a bunch of things that they also cite as reasons why they're populist.
Well, I can't like name a study that it's citing but
it's
it
not.
does say that
Okay.
Trump's victory stems
That's
from his
right.
frustration and economic insecurity. I'm sure that you
EU
know that.
scenario.
Yeah.
How are climate tariff alignment policies and EU-US cooperative deterrence against China? How are those things linked?
Sure, so we would say cooperation over green energy. The Coleman and Matheson evidence says that they would decouple from Chinese rare earth elements, and it would create more synergy between the US and the EU, which would counter China's rise.
Yeah, but like, what does that synergy look like? It's like, okay, we agree.
Well,
that
the synergy would look like they both implement border adjustment.
No, I get what the plan does, but it's like they agree that they should both tax items that produce a lot of carbon. How does that mean that we're able to deter China better?
Well, the whole advantage is when they cooperate, then it would deter China.
How does cooperating over
Yeah,
that
the Durkheim and
deter
Rouge
China
evidence. The
militarily?
Durkheim and Rouge evidence says that the U.S. cannot afford to lose Europe, and Europe's clean energy supply chains are dependent on China, which means that the
So in
U.S.
order to win deterrence, you have to win that the EU completely breaks off its military relationship with the U.S. absent a tariff.
Dude, what?
That's what you just said. You said the U.S. can't lose the EU. Does that mean you have to win that the EU completely abandons U.S. cooperation across the board, absent a climate tariff?
No, the argument is that the EU and the US have different, are trying to work together on climate initiatives that would allow them to decouple from China's
Okay, you keep saying
control
decoupling.
of
Why is
R&D.
decoupling important for military deterrence?
Yeah,
Because the the China scenario is that because China has outsized influence on these supply chains of REEs that the US and EU are unable to
Okay,
cooperate
where are we
on.
getting REEs?
the Foss
from
evidence says
China?
that this rare earth demand would carry implications for readiness, and that the,
Where are we getting REEs in the world of the aft?
Sure, they exist in the status quo. Our argument is that we're not
Why
able
aren't we getting them from other places other than China then, if we're adversarial?
because we do not have the necessary synergy and R&D development from both countries to be able to do that.
Okay, 1 and 2 was sent. It's 6. Then populism more mating with end of the year.
Wait, Rob,
Yeah.
do you think you can reply all? I forgot. The Damien email isn't working. Is that fine? I'll just forward it to you at the end.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, that's what happened last time. Sorry. Forgot to.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Wait, hold on. I'm opening the doc real quick. Hold
Oh, you spelled Damien wrong.
on. Oh, I did. Okay. Sorry.
I.E.
Yeah.
I can. Yeah, I'll resend it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I got it.
I don't have it.
Oh wait.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I forgot my part.
Oh. Okay.
Hold on. I'm gonna just.
Okay. Can you send out a blank email? I can reply to
Yeah.
that. Alright, thank you.
My bad. I'm kind of delaying everything.
Oh, I lied. It's actually 5. I can't count.
You're good. Okay, can you reply to that email and then?
Yeah.
The lighting is.
Okay, but now when you reply to this email, add the right Damien debate.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Whoops.
Okay. This one should be good.
Okay. I'm downloading it again. Okay, right.
I don't have to do
Like,
that. I do have it.
Rory got the note.
Yeah, got it.
Alright.
sorry.
You're good.
First, the economist said there's no recession now. Dobbins 9-7 jobless claims total losses. February, this is raised. Home use kind of recession. Labor market conditions a tight unemployment rose, but due to an increase in LPRs rather than layoffs, time under predicted latest data made and consider loss on offline scenarios possibility. Increased recession less likely stocks amount of death of a economist regularly exaggerated recession likely in 23. Economy healthy jobs, soft landings, imminent stability. Is healthy. UBI collapse of the economy and fuels inequality to 18. Safety net just mean basic needs property decline to all-time low. UBI would raise tax and destroy Senate and work people adds up to $3 trillion. The entirety of the revenue tax will have to be raised dramatically beyond what is economically desirable. Money would cover lows. The lower class reduced benefits tax. The UBI would namely affect the incentive to work with rose to those worker raised earnings decline. Major study UBI found for a visit decline in privatization 27 reduction in hours rated the difference between the highest benefit and the lowest less worker mean fuel feelings of inclusion worse mental health that causes great power. Brand 21. Slow growth makes it hard to keep up with healthy feeling of people alive to observe psychopaths to make a national crutch for when reviewing years economic surges and an experimental imperial expansion Russia. Fell into slump occupied mature facing little bit of economic decline serves a powerful motive for rash expansion most reason more politics instead. A continuing resolution to avoid shutdown passes down on a bipartisan basis. The plan is a poison pill for both parties that cause massive action to February 8/16. Congress have to pass a short-term funding bill. The board just shut down. Congress does not have enough time to reach a full-year deal. Schumer met with McCarthy, agreed to pursue a CR Republicans and colleagues who need to work any bipartisan way. Agree on the policy terms of the House seeking to flash the federal spending because unattached criminals and false appropriations in the Senate is avoiding imposed bill. Congress regulated putting the deadline chief a longer deal. The Rules Committee chair for the I fully accept the CR related to the plan. Fans of flame of GOP rage and deters a shutdown and protest twice 9-5. Republicans run on reckless spending. Biden made overtures aimed at coercing White House and because we need to control running spending. Vote find it's the time to do call for more austere fund spending plan comes to the DT railing against a stopgap measure that shut down Spurs disease outbreaks. Leonard 9-6. Biden wants money for health programs, passing funding looks down uphill, while other U.S. leads into respiratory infection season. He shut down Hamburg efforts to tamp it down, tear down ice, but CDC flu and surveillance system would shut down the high IHS X-Space out for about 40% of its workforce. Extinction time minus 22. We have to plan out how to face the next pandemic. Worst pandemics don't exist in human race. Two pandemics result in climate shutdown, civilization, and CG diverts. So the mutation conveyed by waning antibiotic COVID help us show as baby sitting on a time while billions of other viruses are waiting, but it into the existence of other habits on the planet Earth. Coercion is dead. Taxation violates moral side concerns which justify the evisceration of all morality that outweighs global 20. Side concerns who didn't exist, no one could claim the life of another, no one is entitled to use another tool to this would reject all morality entirely. Usual applies a counterintuitive results in a utility monster who gains utility sacrifice of others morally. Regarding sacrifice every each person is an in and out of the means, otherwise they're not moral sacrifice to rights of the land, the scope of the government, a lack of moral legitimate states operation are financially converts via correlation or coercion via taxation. Peace back. The plan text fails to specify implementation and design details of the carbon tax. That should include the rate, the point of taxation, the trajectory of the tax over time, or 15. What has to go into a carbon tax? What are you going to taxable under your rate tax rate? How it's going to evolve with those formula like your vote negative, lack of mechanism specificity undermines the quality of policy analysis, choice and ground by making the plan a moving target cost 15. The carbon tax and shell game ranges the price vary so widely, assessing on actual ability to propose to become impossible to turn over. And the shells all at once are never variable. Carbon tax helps the environment. A tax has been to economic effects, but the two are not the same tax goal, it is said. Oil prices are soaring to break next 10-month high, fries at 15. Price expectations in the 10 months high, highest high career supply gain traction amid the latest CPI money concerns as a weak supply. Recruits caught will persist according to the IEA's or Saudi Arabia station of oil reduction could cut futures high. The plan necessitates oil price decline mainly in L17. To avoid climate change reserves being under undeveloped decline in demand occur, governments impose carbon tax representation to all introduced by such rules fundamentally to fall and prices of the impact on fossil fuel, which countries with a very large climate policy may result in a permanent fall in price for countries that say the percent they will suffer if countries have reduced emissions. Oil prices are key to Brent Russian collapse through 630. Putin's presidency could be on the brink of Moscow on energy partners of China and India. The driver workers for dollars help keep Putin's energy drivers in Moscow. Shield food news profits give groups some more of oil price to fail the consequences be gold in the case of low oil price for 2 years. Experts lower oil price could prove fatal to Putin. Oil remains the most influential factor driving the terminal rate change of leaders driven by economic turmoil. Putin's independence on giving the tab on oil price collapse could prove fatal. Exchange and Gargani 22. Ask how much economic devastation we want to inflict upon country nuclear war and citizens. Some Russian officials selling off nuclear material and promising largest talk about nuclear weapons feels like trouble. We need to avenge Russia that does not blame the West populism advantage. One, global populism does not cause any war for 2016. Our time is simply fashionable military does not move CDA waiver getting the heights of inequality policy fiction should not be considered harbinger war policy do not form any governments nor promise individuals starting wars in toward isolation in the World War II, World War I broke out during the progressive not public area of the world is in much less turmoil. We have to fear not propaganda but attempts a reverse of access to globalization followed by news more progressive remedies. 2. Puppets latch onto African support empirically aids them in elections. Remember 19. Carbon pricing when winning election puppets arguments about carbon price presenting Ontario was too features that made a vulnerable government like to talk about environmental reductions. As already said less about consumers but benefits coverage if the programs of the price of without explaining how prices to business work and like committee made the policy vulnerable to misrepresentation of seize all the unfair burden serves the contrary to policy economic arguments against carbon pricing. Even economists included policy have a small effect political dynamics are 3. No inequality impact by studies in the early 16th. Effects of inequality not supported countries that higher economic divisions every weak relation not even in borderline significant interaction effects for inequality were far from using money level regression to be tested by the combined division career correlate counter diversionary theory and other economic inequality nor diversity affected the race and they cannot solve you bad is not making as rich as Jeff Bezos can't solve populism for all causes and infrastructure collapse on money see payment. Double whammies of wildfires, tornadoes, after the cause rate damage, aging infrastructure damage, bridges, disaster waiting, and habitat extreme rainfall, large aging dam fells, decaying infra and rainfall. 5 and no CI impact, large 18. Grid is not about to go down. Group is in the capabilities. Grid is only the second target networks on cost blackouts and instead of one side would require tailored tools and operation 1 scale localized across the world scaling up is unlikely warming advantage. First turn, China is overtaking U.S. climate leadership in the absence of aggressive policy that solves warming and opens the door to Chinese leadership broadly, but the plan flips it. Trump 20. Xi made a large commitment today by starting China will be climate neutral. China will make a good on its China's efforts to reduce warming by 0.3 degrees Celsius. The deadline must be met to avoid overheating. Stepping up to lead the world efforts as to geopolitical movement. It is not seen to be trading with the state. China's likely to see which changes work from the administration before making concrete commitments. Chinese leadership results on laundry lists that thrice decline causes CCP collapse and exchange in 15. China's created possible numbers. China was not favorable in economic times and clashes about force. China joint efforts to reject GCs but not pro plus foundation. China needs to save international environment to prevent the world following in defiance. China will serve as a threat to believe China undergoes an internal collapse of immigrants will pose a threat to the world too. There's no climate impact. Bogman 23. Science remains unsettled for climate warming protection. High temperatures are no more common state than 1900. Human events do not cause change to 6 degrees. Impact will be highly catastrophe. Climate have really refused to have the experts protection always and reliable warming is bound. No climate cause dangerous to weather. The deaths of decline 98% reduced and not the issue is growing 10 levels rise. At the same slow days remain remarkably the alkaline marine life and absolute no other species dives or extinction 3 cannot solve warming. A price setting is impossible. Around 21. Setting the tax rate requires info about full range of activities including models have several published need to be able to translate estimates per progress is right for the uncertain different widely different estimates but estimates ranging from 13 to 20,836 to 2,386 even harder because activities different carbon intensity taxation can distort price lead to inefficiency B leakage and cannot calculate sources of carbon emission. Around 21. If Sucker does not non-compliance with the treaty's activities may shift countries to lower their taxes, increasing emission on native sources of carbon does not need to measure the result from activities on markets such as grazing cattle, deforestation, making it hard for governments to identify emissions. EU advantage. First, there's no Chinese expansion. Remember 23. Chinese troops have not faced shootings since 1979. I arrested Chinese military action against Taiwan remains low. China's led responsible was less military than Xi's people hopes others see China's global media follows the visit of Iran and Saudi agreed on China's mediation and Xi wants to be a peacemaker and likely to reverse the one good by selling at a war. Xi watch Putin administration however costing wars on it. Xi understands the risk of pure victory of defeating 90% ships made in Taiwan. So China's low to risk comment that would its economy without access to the most important risks. 2. Only a risk the plan makes it more likely. Decoupling global economies from China removes a deterrent against expansion. 3. There's no escalation. That's the one to see mere sharper evidence for reference for cooperative terms is structurally due. McDowell 19. Regardless of Brexit damage will permanently call out the EU and the amounts spending zeros and non-zero will accept bifurcation and essential leadership for rates, from the world to recover tires and handling immigration already and to head for triple times all field and splitting that transfer and the EU is not a serious actor will never be no amount of tinkering it can address fund without the pooled sovereignty makes it impossible to generate consensus.
decide, what is a continuing resolution?
It's a resolution that funds the government for a period of time until we can pass like a full omnibus bill.
Okay, is the link on politics just bipartisan support or is it political?
It's bipartisan support. Also, McCarthy's pretty important in getting the continuing resolution passed. We think the plan causes fights between McCarthy
Right,
and
but is it political capital?
Well, it's McCarthy's PC, but it's not Biden's PC.
Not Biden's PC. Okay, sure. Why does the shutdown spur disease outbreaks? Can you
Yeah, the Leonard evidence is pretty clear that we are entering a flu season, meaning diseases are likely in the coming time. But if we shut down the government, the CDC won't be
Okay,
effective.
you
in
told
time.
me just now that it was about McCarthy's PC. This internal link card seems to talk about Biden's PC and his funding for health programs.
It's Biden wants funding for health programs. That's not a claim that Biden is like the one who's critical.
Okay, so why does the
See,
plan trade off?
It's about a shutdown of the government.
Yeah.
Biden can't fund disease prevention if
McCarthy-
the government shuts down.
Okay, sure. The oil decide, can you explain why oil prices are key to Russia?
Yeah, this Rourke's card is one of the best cards I've ever seen in debate. It says that Putin's presidency and his legitimacy within like his inner circles is predicated on him having a strong economic base, which is fueled by oil, because the only thing that is key to Russia's economy is oil.
Why does
They
the
all
plan
love
lower oil prices?
I mean, it's like really clear. Carbon tax would necessitate we stop using oil, we shift to other sources of energy like renewable energies. It means we stop buying oil from Russia. They lose revenue. And if you went modeling claims, it's even worse because the whole world will stop buying oil from Russia.
Okay,
It'd be devastating.
EU advantage, can you explain the second point?
Decoupling,
Right.
Psy.
Yeah, sure. We think that market interdependence is a warrant for why China wouldn't invade, i.e. China knows that it has influence in supply chains, and it knows that those supply chains are critical to its own power. It would not jeopardize those supply chains, both in terms of credibility and in terms of like literal destruction of the routes and things that it requires to trade. The Bremer card says that its semiconductors and chips are all made in Taiwan, which form the basis for a lot of its economic power. They would never expand, they would never jeopardize those things. But decoupling means that they have no incentive to not do so.
Okay, sure. The warming advantage, the turn, can you explain why only climate policy through China is key for their leadership?
Yeah, the Truman evidence is very clear on this. It says that like it's a big geopolitical move by China to start doing climate measures. It says that it's kind of like in contrast to the US, which is retreating from the global stage. China is being ambitious via solely their climate policy, which sets them as like a global leader.
Okay, okay, sounds good. Let's go to the populism advantage. Why would populists latch on to the app?
Yeah, the Raymond evidence says that empirically, populists have viewed carbon pricing as a way to generate electoral support. The one to see evidence is just
It's
average.
talking about Canada. 8 minutes.
It's talking about the plan that's
Sorry.
studying Canada.
Yeah, I know. Okay, yeah. Stop guys. Okay.
7:25.
You say 7:25.
Yeah.
Is it 8 minutes of prep?
It's 10 minutes.
Okay, then
9:25.
yeah.
That's insane. I forgot my charger at home and I bought another one yesterday.
And I didn't
found out
realize
how
I
long
actually
it
brought two.
It's
One of them I accidentally stole from Clark.
where's your stuff?
Nice.
Because he stole mine.
That's just a trade.
Yeah.
Oh, fine, sure.
He doesn't know though.
Okay. Order, populism, climate, EU. The spec procedural, the coercion decide, politics decide, the econ DA, and then the order decide. First, 1:1, this is wrong. The card assumes that we live in a time of stability, which are bigger evidence disproves because rising inequality. Second, 1:2, this is wrong. This is about Ontario, not the U.S. or the EU. 1:3, yes, inequality, impact inequality causes extinction breaks institutional capacity to cover a host of challenges, making nuclear war, severe and proliferation, economic, eco collapse inevitable. 1:4, there's no all causes drop the internal link of inequality specifically causes critical infrastructure collapse. All of these other structures can cause damage, but ours is the greatest cause. And 1:5, yes, impact O'Connell says terrorism causing extinction because groups have showed capabilities in the past, and because crime and markets and the dark web have make them more organized, because which causes infrastructure collapse. Warming tipping points are now only in carbon tax patents, the necessary price signal to solve cascading feedback loops. The Chinese hedge stuff first is no link. The plan doesn't save American hegemony, only ensures that Chinese expansion doesn't incentivize escalation broadly. Second, the U.S. hedge is sustainable. 23. Great powers launch with dominance all about what the United States became the sole power by the baby head of one of these terrible China become less of a secret base of foreign major power balance against fundamentals with the powers of the towards nationalism in the United States. Strict differences of foreign policy. Third is pursue inevitable cause policy incoherence miscalculation. Right, 20. Reintegrate less than methods of Americans live in the US here as it becomes over the China and laws to protect back of the one of the activity with the to oscillate re-answering the miscalculation. 4. No peaceful transition. Dominant powers go down swinging. Jacobson 22. 2. Reintegrate for more looking for the latest center whether the chamber of institutions they have the kids the use a little such as inevitable voluntary range because the pain the president is Russia the sort of forcing the China doesn't even count on the standards of the body that keep the same increase in average of money using it, and there's no link because the app doesn't cause China green technology to decline. It actually increases it because it forces them to follow onto border carbon adjustments, which allow them to increase their renewable transition. And they say 1:2, yes, impact of warming causes heat waves, food wars, flooding waters, and security causes disease, overwhelmed defense, consists of scientific studies, air app, that's Caribbean defense is wrong. It does not assume non-linear feedback loops. That circumvents defense. 1:3, they say the taxes enough, but the app sets attacks. So when you see more evidence that the tax would solve poverty and it would be enough. And we specify B, they say leakage, which is wrong because the BCA means it can't be leaked. The EU advantage. China influences causes nuclear war, national expansion causes shifts and balances of powers, bringing backlash and incentivizing blue acceleration type 1, SES and Senkaku, LN, that's Mearsham. 1:1, yes, expansion we keep depending on them, they only gain more and more power. 1:2, it's not a deterrent, it just fuels potential for war because China can leverage their supply chain control. 1:3 is yes, escalation, China influence causes nuclear war. That was above. And 1:4, the car says imbalance is the reason deterrence fails. That is something that you have to solve. The carbon spec. Interpretation of the plan must specify the plan's mechanism. That was done in cross if the plan was not banned. Normal means insolvency prevent. AFCON to reject specification. First is education. Aim is not enough. Extraneous details. Privilege. Semantics. Over resource. Second is AFGROUND. Hyper-specific planted by abusive counterplans to pick that seal the AF. Hurting clash and fairness. Third is arbitrary. No broadly means the neck can shift the goalpost. Disseminating predictability. Floors. Cross-sex stress. Will clarify 5. Is no obstacle. Get distance to the plan. 5. 6. No impact the plan. Text is not the bill. Text 7. Reasonability. Good. Prevent racism. The coercion. Dissent. First is that extinction outweighs biggest gateway issue because it prevents the possibility of future liberation and it precludes value to life. Second is the link to the app gives money back to the people, enables freedom broadly. The app does not engage in this type of utilitarianism that they're talking about, and the negative links more. The politics dissent. First is the app solves the dissent right. This is determined by disease is determined by climate change. With the app solves second firm to the app path of short-term continued resolution. A logical policymaker can do both. Third front shutdown is inevitable. Rational because I don't know. 9/7. A government shutdown federal extenders the cheap budget law limits for innovative manners if they include Ukraine. The houses the center on 1 billion of hard government also the short-term spending will not include whether the HFC rebuttal the shipment the short-term attention the bill is filled with landmines. 4 is no link. The plan is very popular. Boys. 19. Support for carbon is going to best political Irish cut down all the social debate Republican and by the carbon dividend and by Democrat and Republican carbon is the political carbon dividend and unite but also feel like the 5 is no impact disease doesn't cause extinction. Send it up. House 19. Pathogen only can lead to cause extinction. The rate is alone in conversion. It's the type of normal relative corresponding increasing between exploding 2 strains and media rest of the limit. The damage. The econ does that. No link, people will definitely keep working. That's internal link. Hamilton 20. Low income limits, huge negative with their factual legal benefits about at once. When the asked what people do with the basic one with the one who links and with his capital labor to small children all to score about basic and all others pursue new opportunities. Basic and sales about to make a better rather than determine whether fear about financial security and the economy is an all-time low and economic collapse is inevitable. 829. Americans are feeling the comfortable state of the whole to never so much as those are going to follow this meeting. Single recession goes to 70% economic activity. Economic decline and inflation are structurally inevitable. First, the supply chain shocks. Y22. Against the background of supply chain proposal, the authority of the way too much already developing negative supply chain implications of future inflation. I've been to the central bank stage. Difficult to supply effect ones you can have been to refuse to give you the climate change proposals economic show, but the medication have to require that you'd also reveal poverty and the short of the mutual competitive give for other interest rates for extended periods of time. Companies some of the geopolitical centers and supply chain economics are integrated damage should not be addressed for shocks more varied and less than no take advantage of motor high policy crisis now cascading point between systems. Second is debt. PF 23. Rising debt ranks public center debit months, interest costs running out, interest rate might no longer be more towards R&D, reduced part of it, can be used for economic settling and vision, slowing business, better so, able to repay debt, having higher interest, lower confidence, confidence, transit, local project, safety, and under greater pressure for the financial fiscal crisis, lose confidence, lead to higher inflation, this will be used economy, road currency, but the app solves encourages growth and countercyclical spending, even here, recession A's, entrepreneurial energy, code 21. BI produces an explosion of entrepreneurial movement, exit of failing. It would increase the market for different opportunity, services for people, to emerge. B is regulatory certainty, Volcker et al. 19. Will encourage innovation, diffusion, innovation, good stuff, for you, little public, the regulatory companies, at the borders, the competitive American foreign more energy. C is aggregate demand, the percussive effect of the dividend offsets the negative effect of the tax. Zandy and cost 20. Lower income houses the one with the dividend moves subject to spending the economies of an energy evidence increase the fuel increase economic activity and technology more quickly than anticipated. And there's no war. A is self-COVID. A all prove that there's no war from decline. B there's no impact. I'll send this out later. Decline leads to cooperation, not conflict. Carry 15. Economic structure, social and cultural policies showing on one under the United States and property rebels, Germany, downturn between the result economic structure, levels, cut defense, strategic reduces, release, out, police, series, and right causes, priority to cooperation, economic crisis, and second, the benefit of international world literacy, 8 inches from the AM, the oil system. First, the asphalt to terminal to the dishad warming causes resource shortages broadly and populism sparks protection with hoarding oil trades, oil reserves and trade. Second, the asphalt Russian aggression democracy constrains authority and power. Third, oil prices are low and declining now. This is 1 to 314. Oil prices drop after the fuel financial oils that produce oils and mineral changes for system crude oil setting. Also, the EU and resources remain big with severe higher rates of bottom because of TV reduced to 4. Russia's diversifying and recession is done. Bloomberg 20. Russia seeking to spend the way of the deep companies will seek with all the money new supply to be all generated by capital to see the Russia is not like anyone who has to take Russia try to go through the buffet but it's better so money couldn't have defending this is very better than the forces of Chinese economy. Russia's economy. 5. The link is wrong. A is something you already implemented DBCs that would hurt the price of oil. If the link is true, B is trade off, it's wrong. 9 quiz 15. The link between oil and renewables appears with the operative different oil security of channel and liberal renewables the usual create electricity changes the price of oil general and if it's removed for a back as the portable essential for the cheap gas can complement renewables the lower gas oil prices can help renewables and C or renewable transition is inevitable global oil demand will plummet. Read 23. Demand for oil fighters will drop significantly global solid oil prices and global vitals account for oil allies. And 6. There's no impact Putin won't use nukes. Shalom 20. Several reasons for working with the parts have not involved covers about a military scale probably with the escalation of nuclear for trying nuclear weapon makes only military rates cost of repeating and supporting all the governments in nuclear would do tremendous oil political loss of international responsibility on Africa and a lot of American charges seems confident declaring that the red lines have been crossed. Go back to the politics side. There's no impact to shutdown. PVS 518. A shutdown can disrupt before a catastrophic and U.S. after before we know that what shutdown was with the White House conflicts of contingency plans. And I have 5 seconds.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to start on the econ dissad. The regulatory certainty turn. Why do industries want certainty?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. What was your question?
Yeah, the certainty turn. Why do fossil fuel companies want certainty?
Sure, because, like, the Volcker et al. Evidence says that it will save the U.S. industry and low-income households, and substituting a price regulations for regulations will promote growth and provide regulatory certainty so they know how to invest in clean energy.
What
so
cumbersome regulations exist now that are like the equivalent of a carbon tax?
Could you repeat that?
Right, like the certainty turn is basically like the carbon tax is more certain than like different regulations, but you haven't read any evidence that those regulations exist now. The carbon tax is a huge difference from the status quo in regards to regulating emissions. What evidence do you have that says regulations exist now that the companies do not like and they prefer a carbon tax?
Sure, the Volcker et al. Evidence says that there are cumbersome regulations and we need regulatory certainty to have long-term investment in clean energy. Like, we don't need a car that says it, because obviously they haven't switched now.
Okay, that's fine. The AFSOLV's argument for like recession inevitable, how is the AF countercyclical spending? It seems to me that basic income or the dividend provided by the carbon tax would just be paid monthly. Is that like cyclical spending?
Yeah, because like during...
Like, does the AF pay more during recessions?
Well, I guess not. It would just
okay, so then
do it
don't
based
solve
on the
either of
carbon
these
price.
recession inevitable warrants. Okay, that's fine.
No, because the rest of them are about like the BI specifically, even if I tag the first sentence wrong. So.
Okay. Aggregate demand. Why is it critical to the economy?
Aggregate demand. Oh, I see what you mean. Sure. It says that, like, it helps the economy. The fee will create economic incentive is to invest in new technology, which helps lower income households, like through the dividend.
Okay, that's fine. Politics, the Plan Popular card talks about a few lawmakers. Our evidence says that broadly, spending measures will be rejected by the specific group that is fighting McCarthy on this continuing resolution. How is this just for the link?
It doesn't matter, because if Republicans are on board and Democrats are all on board, then they're willing
You
to
think
pass
these
this.
like crazy Republicans in the Freedom Caucus are on board with the carbon
Sure,
tax?
the crazy Republicans in the Freedom Caucus are not willing to negotiate on anything, so the uniqueness is terminally thumbs
this
too.
link argument, disregarded. The uniqueness argument, it says like a few people are disagreeing. Where does it say that like it's impossible to convince these lawmakers?
It says a gulf is impossible to bridge.
Okay. The perm on the this side you didn't read it, right?
No, I did.
Oh, okay. 10 side?
Yeah.
10 starting out.
And then I sent out the shutdown to the Congress for a little bit ago.
sending it out, is politics disad, oil disad, coercion disad. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's sent. Okay, have y'all gotten it?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Okay, sweet.
Give me 1 second.
For sure.
Okay. I'm good.
Okay. Are you good, everybody? Sweet. Disease outweighs absent of funded vigilant federal government gaps across the CDC, FDA, and HHS will cause outbreaks spread uniquely bad now because of infection season causing extinction. New variants will circumvent burnout and collapse civilization, which was the only warrant of defense of this race. See, after the AF doesn't turn at once, sequencing shutdown happens within the next month before the AF or warming materialize into real impacts. To warrantless your explanation for why warming turns disease to turns case first. The shutdown shuts down the AF. No money and no workers. Vote negative presumption. Vote 9-5 because of the shutdown. Furloughs of non-essential government employees, programs and services aren't under SS would be under Routes of 2013. Shutdown is shut down. Able to Congress application is funding is set to expire. The existing budget isn't enough to provide the benefits. The ability to send out benefits could be affected. That applies to presumption ballot even if the win shutdown inevitable. Durable fiat doesn't solve. Only guarantees plan passage doesn't guarantee implementation if it's literally impossible. No perm is fully intrinsic, which kills every single counterplan ever, and it deletes all politics or econs. This as allows them to intrinsicness test by giving companies trillions of dollars, routes real world education, and ground rejected, plus no impact to logical policy making, which is they can't extend it. It will pass. Shutdown is not inevitable. One, mutual acceptance is bipartisan, given the current policy makes conservatives agree. Biden and McCarthy have cooperated enough to prolong downturns. That's capper. 2, packaging with popular items will sweeten the deal limited all 819. The package deal will get done according to the dozen White House congressional. It's White House patent the proposal with disaster relief, border security, and federal the popular make it hard for Republicans to explain no vote Ukraine, and the CR will be tackled on public support goes to Ukraine. Zelensky keep the pressure on Republicans. White House ramp up pressure pointing out the economic impact. 3, ignore public buster. McCarthy is succeeding behind the scenes. Dimension 9-2. McCarthy sees the bridge. Groups have finished shutdown, totally up persuade farm lawmakers. Heavily more than trying to strong arm scheduling and border security proposals already mirrored the border bill and address the freedom caucus and concerns for goodwill. McCarthy has a deep well of capital and loyal, so unified past scattered agency members. Ferris 9/11. McCarthy has built a deeper well of goodwill within the right. Resistors have faced challenges in group and insane cuts. Impeachment. McCarthy loyals remain as strong as ever. 180 will vote for the speaker 15 more times. McCarthy has built up a lot of capital with conservatives. 5 incentives. McCarthy offers a carrot. Upcoming elections offers a stick to shut down Weichmann. 831. There are positive signs that Congress was short to pass a short budget agreement. McCarthy can get up to the level 10 moderate. Republicans placate conservative wing. He's dangled an impeachment inquiry. Serious inquiry in Hunter Biden. Don't think Republicans want to leave a shutdown in the middle of an election. They'll try to avoid that at all costs. 6, path of least resistance. Passing now with no thumpers, but avoiding unnecessary fights is key. Gross and Jolly 9-5. Lawmakers trying to avert government shutdown. Long-term funding dominate the agenda. Time is short, and now House meets for 11 days before the fiscal year. Ends leaving a little room to maneuver. Leaders are focused on the passing of McCarthy. Now faces resistance. Pretty big mess. Senators are crafting spending bills on partisan basis, bipartisan boards without evading unrelated policy fights. McCarthy will have to win significant Democratic support. Focus will be funding on the government. The Senate is expected to spend September focus on funding the government, meaning the major policy legislation will have to wait. 7, 10 minutes about the budget's uniqueness. The shutdown scares deficit hawks more, but it's not a done deal. Barrett 818. A shutdown of our government spending will lead to significant higher spending because legislation reopened by a source of Senate proposals. The outcome has made some members of Congress wary, but it actually prevent a shutdown. 8, the HFC concedes it'll get done despite the bluster. Hoyes 9-10. Funding requested to contain urgent bipartisan priorities. McCarthy shouldn't cave. House Freedom Caucus chairman said the conservatives are aiming to shut down the government. That's not the goal. The rank and file members plan on staying up all night to get it done. Yes, the plan is not popular. 1, austerity. The mere perception of big government spending makes House conservatives lose their marbles. That's Kapoor. 2, the GOP hates literally every single part of the plan. Dr. 23, 3/4 of House Republicans seek to cut Social Security and Medicare. Republicans call for cutting taxes for the wealthy and corporations work requirements on people trying to retain social services. The party wants to make permanent Trump tax cuts. The budget explicitly says it opposes universal basic income. 3, unanimous opposition. Republicans don't like UBI. Gilsbrecht 20. Majority say they oppose UBI whether or not they want to withdraws. Gordon sends opposition among Republicans. 8 and 10 Republicans and independents propose UBI with 60% strongly opposed. 4, they obviously backlash to fossil fuel company taxes, which is in cross-X. Wise 21. Democrats presented a plan to pay by raising tax on wealthy. The proposal
House Republicans balked at the proposal, business lobbying groups rejected the package, citing its existential threats to economic recovery and future prosperity. Their F concedes it wouldn't be popular now, saying that they would start carrying once they start carrying the climate. That's voice evidence for reference, and it's only about a couple lawmakers like Schumer who are not key when we've had evidence about the House Freedom Caucus. Yes, shut down impact disease surveillance was preserved in 2018, but it to be shut down now. COVID puts us on a brink. Entrenched vaccine fatigue means that we are unable to counter it without intense government responses. Now is key. Flu season is coming, and it's a busy time for the CDC. New disease incoming. WHO 712 bird flu causes devastation. Animal population poses ongoing risk to humans and countries to walk together to caustic sectors and protect people. Increasing number of H5N1 detection among mammals biologically closer to humans. Race because the virus might have adapted to infect humans, leading to a new virus is more harmful to humans. This one is unique. Once it starts, it'll last for a long time. A million 828. If government shutdown occurs, it could last for an extended period. Homeland Security Conservative House members continuous petition for Speaker McCarthy elections to Democrat support with Republican House leadership likely the presidential candidates will be speaking out about how support about cuts could limit the ability of Democrats and Republicans to compromise. Oil this head, concede, rush to diversify and kick it. There's no offense. The rest will be answered with the econ diss. Coercion, kick it, concede, distinction is what matters. That means there's no link turn. Populism advantage. Populism doesn't cause War I. Empirics countries are markedly more politically stable under populism than they were under progressive era governments proven by World War I and World War II. At worst, it causes more isolationism, but not a total withdrawal from the international sphere, and definitely not aggressive foreign policy. The Tracy was too light and wordless to go for this. Not stable now is not responsive. When we've had evidence comparing the two types of leaders, saying it'd be net less stable under progressive leaders, prefer our evidence as pure speculation. Ours relies on empirical data. 3 No War, 917 Individualism, argues the populist urge to make the end of globalization. Tribunals may follow a century ago. Circumstances are so different today that the knowledge doesn't hold so many buffers. Conservatives as domestic international level descended to chaos. 1939 the cards discounted, but no more than they do a vision of protectionism. The plan enables populists anyway. 1. Rhetoric. Conservatives seize onto the language of tax and environmental policy to turn it into a populist outcry. 2. Empirical analysis. Yes, it is empirical, but it applies. Ontario implemented a carbon tax similar to the plan, and it was a test case which proves our arguments. Politicians emphasize the economic environmental benefits, which abstracted the policy and made it easier for conservatives to rally anti-tax sentiments. That's new. 3. Ensures the plan only fuels populist backlash. New. 19. Search by climate dependent anything political feature. Such classes part new populist formation block is symbol through competition to capture the federal apparatus. No war from inequality. Area says the only studies on the matter says that inequality doesn't increase the potential for conflict, even as it should. The internal link is dissatisfaction, which all neg offense accesses more. That's Ariely. They can't solve anyway. Resentment of richer people is inevitable. Whether I make $1,000 more a month doesn't change whether or not I think it's unfair that Jeff Bezos has over $100 billion of terminal impact, all causes to infrastructure to collapse. Their own courses at heavy rainfall, the age of infrastructure, wildfires, tornadoes, and other natural disasters make infrastructure collapse inevitable. They do nothing about any of that, so they can't solve. The Pamela evidence does not say that a tax is the greatest internal link. In fact, it doesn't even mention a tax. All it mentions are all causes which they don't solve, but terminal defense applies anyway. It can occur. Critical infrastructure segmented. Homegrown terrorists would have to target each segment using localized tools. They have the necessary expertise. Does not take into account the segmentation of critical infrastructure, saying that they would have to attack each piece simultaneously and in coordination. That means a wide-scale blackout will require more resources than it's worth. That's Larson, the warming advantage. Concede hedge is sustainable means the China challenge never rises to an existential threat. Also takes out go down swinging offense because the US will never go down in the first place. No warming impact. 1. Bad projection. Climate modeling is unreliable. 2. Complex and variables are too wide ranging to conclude extinction. 2. Is gradual. Guaranteeing adaptation to foreseeable change. That's Buckman. Answers non-linearity. 3. Solar cycle 25. Caps warming to 0.4 degrees. A curve of 20. The sun is solar minimum leading to reduction in temperature radiation to heating cycle 25. The sun will the photosynthesis that's void. During the previous minimum temperatures across the planet plunged to Europe and North America when a decreased glaciers extended production. Adding to the upcoming minimum will increase cosmic rays, which led to a high clouds and atmospheric cooling. The cloud can drop temperature by 10 degrees. This will not the average temperature come lower than 1.4 degrees Celsius by 1970, 1710. The global cooling can offset warming. They also can't solve warming. 8. Price setting. We have no idea what the tax rate needs to be. Estimates range thousands of dollars. The tax also needs to be calculated in the correct rate to dissuade emissions in the first place. Solving the poverty is non-responsive to this warming means they can't solve warming. The identification of sources of emissions, cows, deforestation, etc. All sources they can't control means that they never tax enough of what actually causes emissions because we're not able to identify it in the first place. EU advantage. The chance that China expands is 0. 1 is inexperienced or 2 type of fought since 1979. 2. She's a peacemaker. He doesn't want the West to nuke him. He understands the logic of deterrence and knows that he'll lose. 3. Sunk cost. She's invested too much in diplomatic wins to risk losing it all over an island, which he relies on in the first place. 4. Economic entanglement. This is our argument, not theirs. Their reliance on supply chains for the protection of their power means that they would never want to jeopardize the supply chains in the first place. China's ships are made in Taiwan, which means they'd be afraid to destroy their industrial base. That's Bremer. 5. Even if there's expansion, it won't escalate. Mearsheimer. Evidence goes our way and concludes that it won't go nuclear and will be limited to naval and air conventional skirmishes. No answer except an overview means you should air nagonist, but cooperation with and within the EU is doomed anyway. Means it turns to structurally impossible. 2. Just said they solve 1. They don't solve public support. Eurosceptical movements are growing and threaten the survivability of the EU in the first place. 2. Fault lines. Numerous divisions have compounded to create inherent divisions between countries that dooms EU-led initiatives, including cooperation with the US to deter, making them inevitably defunct. That's 1. See Greenhill. AF solves is wrong and warrantless disputes are isolated from climate policy as they are about internal EU fragmentation. Okay.
Okay, you good?
Yeah.
Let's go to the NI evidence. It says that there's buffers against turbulence. What are those buffers?
Institutional checks and balances.
Sure, what are
other leaders.
those?
Huh?
Like, could you give me an example of what that would be?
The president of the United States has advisors. Their advisors would say you shouldn't nuke people. That's an example. Military leaders are smart. They're not all going to become populists.
Okay, the Zarkova evidence, the solar cycles, can you explain what this means?
Yeah, sure. We think solar cycles will reduce the magnetism of the atmosphere, which makes heat transition throughout the atmosphere less, i.e. the entire atmosphere of Earth will be 0.4 degrees cooler than they are now. It'll only be like 0.1 degrees Celsius higher than pre-industrial levels at the end of solar cycle 25. It's just terminal defense to the process of warming itself. It literally won't happen.
Okay, that's fine. The when you say what was the argument on the climate advantage about modeling?
I don't
Oh,
think I made a modeling. Oh, climate modeling. Yeah. Climate modeling doesn't work. The climate's too complex. We can't say whether or not it would cause extinction. Nonlinearity is unknowable.
sure. The shutdown just had. It says the Ferris evidence says resistors face challenges.
Yeah.
What are those challenges?
Yeah, the Ferris evidence actually names the challenges. It says that the resistors to McCarthy's will in the House face fragmentation over issues like budget cuts, how aggressively they want to pursue impeachment of Biden. Now, those are the things that they're holding out for in the CR negotiations, but they're not even united in what they want from those negotiations, which means they'll succumb easier to McCarthy's overwhelming charisma and political capital.
Okay, the Thacker evidence, it says that 3/4 of House Republicans seek to cut Social Security and Medicare. What part, why does that not make the dissent inevitable?
Well, no, I mean, it's like, the plan is unpopular because it radically expands the scope of both governmental taxation and, welfare spending.
Sure.
But the card says that they are specifically in favor of work requirements for those receiving social benefits, and that they hate corporate taxes, both of which the plan does. The plan is both prongs of every single thing that, nut job Republicans
we've had
hate.
shutdowns in the past. Why does this not, totally?
This one will be a lot longer. We've read evidence about that because the negotiations are so kind of brittle and unmoving once a shutdown occurs. We've also read evidence that says new diseases are coming now.
We can go
which means
to
past
the
diseases.
impacts you've read. You says that new diseases coming, like bird flu. Does this are we on track? What part of the DISAD invests in that technology?
It's not about it's somewhat about technology. The CDC and other governmental disease prevention agencies certainly invest in things like resilience against diseases, distribution of vaccines, medical triage,
Okay.
provision of medical goods. All that goes away.
Okay.
One hour set. It's the econ set.
Give me a sec.
Yep.
I'm done. Okay. I'm
Alright. Both of y'all are good. Alright. Sweet.
Economic decline outweighs first as diversion. Leaders distract the domestic tensions by escalating abroad. Historically, the bloodiest wars follow. Second is resources. Desperate leaders expand the scarce goods goes. That's the brand's evidence. Turns case first. Populism. Burger 19. Slow growth increased extremism data in 1600s, which spans data in decades to show unreflected causal effect of growth on extremism. B is climate rating of the 15. Pollution, defund, purposely growth boosts and comes to welfare, people demand environmental equality, being regulation, market mechanism, for cleaner, the processes in check, growth, spur innovation, reach, innovation, tech growth, supplies capital, to fund no carbon energy, whatever, slow growth will also follow clean demand renewables. C is China, they will only be aggressive if they face a struggling economy. That's the brand's evidence. And now the link wall, 2 we see 1, I'll do the links here. And the blend collapses the economy first is incentives, and it destroys productivity by diverting workers from necessary jobs. 2, fruitless passive products. Second is risk removal, to vote 21. Removing risk, which is currently delusional, aquatic ventures, sorting markets, larger humans to be difficult to sustain UBI when encourage people to privilege surely quit try, feeling despite not building up work at risk is attenuating, labor demand UBI would bloom their supply, freelance labor working, the market was all made business, like apply, but you had difficult rates, something useful, UBI coverage cost, gamblers, the rest of the place off events, funding risky your ventures, like company, and little payoff. Labor withdrawal is true, the truth, Hamilton evidence says, gets them nowhere. It says people would want to still work just in other sectors. That's exactly what the link is. They leave their economically productive job for economically unproductive jobs. 3 is stranded assets, sudden tax, carbon tax causes widespread assets trending, collapsing every sector, carried to the IT. Something over destroys higher price business, stability, financial condition, my policy, crisis, the leader has to do as which become trying to give an exposure beyond false industry, straight only bank sectors, high middle over the workers, even moderate tax, and leader adjustments of the stock market, hypertrophy, and skill required. Good. Shock that mentions labor creative vendor not implemented for is inflation voice 19. UBI which transferred to lower service consumption rather and then has been going to her workers for goods inflation and constant velocity money and will rise anything $1 exchange at the the same regular demand signal parties who respond with higher prices. Current inflation is predictable, only unexpected price shocks trigger financial meltdown limit 23. Inflation being unpredictable fate in the background of the market is being inflation greatest surprise new rates being spelled by traders are having inflation chasing low shock and real inflation much more the size inflation making it chaotic and keep the service off balance about CPI with talking about spur inflation action if it and maybe about the foregone action are only sharp shocks over the economy under 19. Save critical inflation is due to capture price sentiment rates, reducing distortion impact, knowing the price will however against students are incentive to make purchasers over the rising price returns and expectation like your world and out of people to more firms that just pay higher price below expectation of wage and price adjustments by setting compensating out of producers makers ability to influence expectation. The uniqueness to EC2, there's no recession now. 1 is soft line and previous stocks are bringing inflation under control while keeping assets GDP growth in the Goldilocks territory. 2 is recent resilience, spread increasing investments and further stabilizing growth spotlights. That's the goal. 11 to 3 is market consensus. 11.95. So I'm finding more and more economists convinced that not going to happen stocks, but also recession is just for 50% down from 35 yield curve coming off. There's a high likelihood rates will come down. Bold investors are betting on recession is going to be federal lower rates due to recovery of the yield curve. Surveys ever and in July when the economy is coming and the economy build over the average rate of mean point to shrink the best show in 50 years yield curve is operating recession just inflation back to normal. 4 continued cooling and 9.15. Core flow slowed and gas prices more than half increasing overall inflation falls substantially as the economy don't expect and energy prevents slow inflation on has no effects to core small but continuing on mining that's my social narcotics positive facility slow down weaker spending and cool job market but hopeful top lending use inflation slowed readily and developing made health steady current levels rates are being inflation to 2 without recession inflation cool rest of the year and as easy new and house offering home cooling wage further it is a job market expect the cool take summer stream out of inflation consumer confidence is wrong 1 consumer spending remains strong 1 growth on I said overall spending levels are largely unchanged due to the purchase rate here and norm servicing her spending remains strong environment result of modest increase to not left and the consumer spending slowdown will be mild so the severe the labor market health something Americans household are likely to spend at 3 2 this is not a sufficient to cause recession they have not right internally card 4 and consumer confidence out decline inevitable stuff is wrong the supply shocks is wrong 1 is from last year and does not assume the current economy which is recovered from those shocks 2 it says recession in place where are possible not that they will occur the plan makes them a certainty debt argument is wrong 1 it's price into economic calculations everyone knows the debt has been huge and will continue to be 2 and again is both old and speculative for our evident our recent uniqueness and link card said the plan would certainly collapse the economy after not solve either of these as the not accountable cyclical spending now is crossing and certainly cannot solve debt now 3C4 no entrepreneurial turn UBI spooks financiers deterring critical loans back entrepreneurship Stephen 17 UBI divested response financiers increasing currency entrepreneurs shake risk capital is ever so to make up back lending or stop holding the response for our protection and document makes for exhibition correlated with loaded dials that are rationing led to fewer innovations I would extend later lower and over patents independent quality of innovation cost and capital strength of firms no choice but to come back disregard the certainty turn there's regulations can come and go with political ones that's our evidence but the return assumes regulations are high now they're not right evidence that they are if they really want to get new answers disregard the demand turn it's the link we're saving inflation is different now but tons of consumer spending will drive inflation up COVID and oil do not thumper and back needness decline is equal across states our evidence says that the decline in America is bad but it is their short-term decline and not assume the current economy which is the brain's evidence does declare evidence is wrong relies on rare events or biases against where else as well there are a lot of misconceptions the problems that were already been probably small numbers are cases of rare of 2 outcomes if the sample size of 100,000 if there are 20 minutes sample you may have stage 1 no oil cross applications or evidence assumes energy prices
925. 925. Stop prep. 5 I'm sending it out. Wait, actually, just a little bit. Can you change it to that?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, 504. The order is going to be warming EU populism, then it's the budget dissad, then it's the econ dissad. And I sent out the comments.
Warming EU populism.
Yes.
Politics, econ.
Yeah. Okay. Is everyone good? Yes. Warming EU populism, budget politics, then econ. Okay.
Warming tipping points are now only carbon tax as the economy. Necessary pricing notes to solve cascading feedback loops. 2NC1, yes, impact or impact is not. Hegemony is about China leveraging their supply chains to prevent intervention and increase escalation. 2NC2, yes, climate modeling is true. Their evidence does not disprove the impact. Just as their predictions are unreliable, prefer IPCC, who cites dozens of scientific reports, and it doesn't matter because the effects are happening now or in the status quo. It causes heat waves, food wars, flooding, and insecurity. 2NC3, Zakova is wrong. It's about solar cycles and clouds. Adaptation efforts are incremental and prefer the most recent evidence. Zakova also doesn't assume greenhouse gases trapped in the atmosphere. 2NC4, yes, correct tax rate against evidence says it's an empirical tax study on carbon tax and dividend. Proposals say that it would reduce poverty more than fully face $15 minimum wage. 2NC5, it's wrong. Yes, we solve tax identification. Their evidence does not disprove the tax bills, and it doesn't matter because it's about a general price signal, which discourages taxes as the EU advantage. Chinese influence causes nuclear war and escalation expansion, causes shifts in balance of power, sparking batches and devising nuclear escalation in Taiwan, South China Sea, Sinaku Islands, as Mearsheimer. They say diplomacy in China check, that's wrong, but deterrence logistics separating Taiwan war because the rare earth industry gives China outsized influence over escalation, can make it so that they can escalate, that's false. They say shifts are made in Taiwan irrelevant. It doesn't matter because China has continuously threatened due to national sentiment, increased supply chain control causes them to be emboldened, drop Jacobson from advantage 2 that says it's countering China rights is necessary for peace. They say Mearsheimer flows neg, wrong. Next sentence says that it could cause nuclear weaponry. Last argument is about no linkage, wrong. The affluent prevents Chinese influence over economic supply chains, which can only be solved by U.S. energy. Populism concede the defense. We're not going for it. Belgium. Extend to EC3 shutdowns, level tension in GOP's rising, and lawmakers being forced to navigate differences, making it possible to reach here's another quad determined at all 9-14, 16 days until shutdown. McCarthy can pass on top new plan. None of this which chance to society passing in a group of allegedly nihilists don't care about shutdown, lack of urgency to promote a government shutdown. There's more evidence that Sherman at all 9-14. The Democrats won't be there without left lane shutdowns. Federal government on two paths towards both field breakdown between two parties in the House. McCarthy said that he won't. An ominous bill in the floor, G power lunch under standing stock bill. Even if McCarthy were to entertain the bill, Democrats only back if it's nice and loaded up with far right policies. Republicans are nowhere. That's punchbowl news. 9-13. House Republicans are relevant, 70 passing Republicans are absolutely nowhere on their individual spending bills. McCarthy's about to not pass an ominous bill. The Speaker sees all his power to extremists, contingent about caucus chaos. Kurds, they say mutual acceptance is wrong. That was above. They say packaging his cards about the aid package, not shutdown. They say public bluster. Just because McCarthy is trying to persuade far-right lawmakers doesn't mean it's succeeding. They say goodwill is wrong. Again, just because he has capital with conservatives doesn't mean it's going to work because the card is only descriptive about his loyalists. Republicans will continue to delay the Sherman and go at 9-13. Republicans are late on vote. Republican partisan saying state of confusion. Freedom Caucus said they vote on TR. McCarthy's in a difficult spot. Repeating acknowledgement from the right flank of House GOP said that shutdown may be null. They say incentives. This card takes out their argument about McCarthy because it flows nag and says things like, quote, his leadership position is tenuous, and also say, quote, placating the conservative wing is a long shot. Either way, there are privileges. And positive signs that the card also says crunch time is on the budget. It's already here. They say least resistance entered above. It's obviously not, but it won't pass now because they have been months of struggling to find agreement because of a divided Congress. They say that uniqueness is wrong. This card says nothing about shutdown inevitable, and it does not even say if it passes or not. HEC doesn't concede anything. Their card just says that there's urgent bipartisan priorities. Doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. Now, extend 2EC4, the plan is popular among Republicans as Zellinger, Morris, and voice cards in the 1EC and the 2EC. Support is growing and they're guaranteed a political speech thought they're re-highlighting is horrible. It's when the lawmakers get serious about climate change, which we have made a claim about the brink being now. Majority of voters favor the basic income that's still 20. Majority of voters believe the government should have a universal basic increase in support. Independent voters believe the government should have a universal basic income. They say GOP hates it, that's about Social Security, Medicare. They say opposition is about U.S. adults, not bipartisan support, but either way it's relevant because Republicans love it. That's Hamilton. 21. Majority support of this proposal. Democrats support rebate much higher. Now, Turner's case is also relevant because we have made a claim that the plan would avoid shutdown and Lake turned it. Econ. Extend 2EC2, future recessions are inevitable in the plan. It's the only way to solve them. This takes out their impact and needs to. Warrants number 1 is supply shocks, labor participation, aging crisis, warming, all cost shocks, enforce high interest rates and wage price spirals. Zombie companies cause price influxes and geopolitical rivalries. Being from last year is relevant because it's meant to take out impact and needs because a recession will always have potential to happen. 2 is rising debt, exponential surges in the next decade, crowd out all public-private investment, which skyrockets interest rates, high debt, ensures fiscal crisis, and erodes dollar confidence globally. They say it's old, answered above. A few more warrants. First is yield curve. It's the strongest predictor of recession is mob. 23, economy will suffer a severe recession. Multiple indicators are flashing to about the inverted yield curve, reliable predictor past recession, market recessions. 2 is credit crunch, that's goal. 23, companies defaulted loans 53% increase, 8.81% for loan obligation, corporate defaults, research, recession, will create significant pain in the credit markets, markets. Now, to extend 2EC3, the turn the plan to solve for economic decline. First is the app increases confidence, a basic income creates a social security net, which increases market competition and participation broadly. That's code. They say it boosts finances, it won't shrink capital because it's funded through the tax. B, there's no impact of dividing Congress, will encourage innovation and promote growth through regulatory certainty. C's demand. I can't think of better evidence. Quote, the boost provided by the dividend on consumer spending and the economy is magnified. The near-term economic benefit of the plan is also increased. They say incentives that's wrong is stumped by yearly deficit spending through social services, military defense, infrastructure projects, and ag subsidy. They say risk removal UBI won't encourage freelancing, stable carbon prices encourage economic growth is black. Adult 22 robust and predictable pricing will help catalysts and efficiently allocate private finance flows by committing carbon pricing countries and increase investor confidence and enable private climate finance. Stranded assets is wrong, answered by certainty because it won't be a bull for the blue for the financial system. They say inflation UBI doesn't fuel hyperinflation. That's Johnson 23. Little evidence UBI has inflation when hyperinflation is occurred. It's occurred because goods are scarce. Evidence being held for a country the current levels increase and cost fine fuels and logic of UBI is correct. No, it's not increase new jobs or increase wages.
econ-dissad, politics, warming E.
No problem, sir.
No.
Okay. I'm good. We just have.
Everybody good?
Yes.
Wait, econ, politics, warming E.
Yep. Everybody good? It's a very easy neg ballot. So many conceded arguments on case means that I only have to win a very small risk of the econ-dissad in order for us to automatically outweigh. Decline outweighs diversion is true. During some periods of slow growth and economic recession, it's hard to keep the public happy, which causes desperate leaders to invade other countries in response to Brand's evidence. They conceded that it turns climate economic decline alone means that the profitability of emerging renewable portfolios is diminished. Treat the status quo as a counterplan that solves warming because energy transition is already happening and the transition to a low carbon society is underway now, but that transition relies on continued growth to keep those investments sustained. They also conceded that desperation turns China, i.e. China is only likely to lash out in a scenario in which they are economically desperate. The uniqueness debate supplies wrong. The dominant evidence says that supplies a bad indicator of the economy. All indicators are generally up. Real GDP growth is increasing even after rate hikes is cooling inflation. We're in a Goldilocks zone, i.e. all economic projections indicate that GDP growth will stay in the green, where inflation will dip beyond 2%. That provides uniqueness both for our recession link and our inflation link. The yield curve evidence was answered with 11 card in the 1 and R. The yield curve's perfect record breaks now. Lower hikes happen later as a result of debt confidence in the economy. The Fed will lower interest rates, meaning that the yield curve will eventually reverse back to being normal. And the yield curve's been inverted for so long and it hasn't signaled anything close to a recession, which indicates that yield curve inversion this time doesn't matter. Also, is correlation, not causation. They haven't read evidence that says that the yield curve is what causes recession to happen. Just that yield curve inversions generally accompany recessions. Other things accompany recessions too. Bad weather might happen before recession, but that doesn't mean the bad weather is the cause of that recession. The confidence and competition stuff is irrelevant. They have conceded that it takes investment in new industries because investors are unable to tell what new projects are kept alive by the UBI and which ones are genuinely productive. The Siemens evidence says that the UBI spooks investors because it takes risk away from those who are creating new products. It says that it's genuinely hard to create new, innovative, useful products, but investors are generally able to delineate those because the people creating those products are the ones that take on the risk, i.e. they're able to discern that if somebody is willing to take on that financial risk, that they must at least have faith in that idea. The UBI reverses that incentive because it gives everyone enough money to take on a new economic project. It means that financiers aren't able to tell productive projects apart from unproductive ones. It means that confidence and certainty are both term, but the certainty term also doesn't matter. Nobody's read a business confidence keeping the economy linked, but it's also untrue. They conceded that you would rather have a 50% chance of a heart attack rather than 100% if the plan is bad for the economy. Than people who would rather have it maybe not happen than certainly happen. Boosting demand is relevant. They haven't read evidence that the structural driver of economic decline. It will encourage freelancing. The zero evidence is saying that their cards are bad. The zero evidence is that giving everyone enough money to pursue whatever work they want to do would obviously cause them to quit their jobs that they don't like, but that are nevertheless more productive. They would go into freelancing, which is not productive for the economy, and to divert our attention away from economically valuable ventures. The entire economy relies on people working towards productive ends, meaning that widespread freelancing causes that to go down the drain. The no inflation stuff, yes, inflation linked. They conceded the velocity of money, even if it would pump as much money into the economy as other income increasing measures, it doesn't matter. They conceded the velocity is what matters, i.e. the UBI concentrates money in the hands of people who are going to buy physical goods rather than investing in long-term stocks, meaning that inflation happens rapidly and immediately and unpredictably. They concede that is the only determination of inflation's impact on the economy. Sharp shocks impact business decisions, making it impossible to invest with any certainty. Also, double turns their certainty turn because business investment decisions are impossible. That's the 11 evidence. The rates was answered by our 1 and R evidence. 11 says that rates will come down in the future, avoiding recessionary pressures. Debt crowd out answers were also dropped. It's priced in because the economy knows that the government has a ton of debt. Their evidence is speculative. The economy's known about debt since literally the 80s and has never caused a recession, which means you should veer away from their evidence. Both were shadow extended in the 1 AR, so don't let the 2 AR blow them up with new warrants, especially after dropping 1 in our cards. Politics. Concede shutdown's inevitable. They drop the presumption argument. They can't tax or fund the plan in the era of a government shutdown means that the plan never happens, and it is literally not a presumption because they have no chance of solving their impacts. They haven't read Winners Win or PC's replenishable, so no turn to the disad. Warming. They drop solar cycles mean warming never happens, as our COVID evidence says that the atmosphere will get generally cooler as magnetism decreases, means that even if emissions increase, the atmosphere gets 0.4 degrees cooler than it is now. Now it's not causing extinction, and nonlinearity doesn't apply to carbon that's currently in the atmosphere, otherwise the AF wouldn't be able to solve it because they haven't read an argument that they're able to remove carbon from the atmosphere. They also conceded that they can't solve it. The price setting is impossible. The 1AR answer was just we can do it, which is non-responsive. There's not enough information to be able to set the price right to deter warming activities. It's mirrored evidence, functionally conceded the 1AR EU advantage. They conceded sunk cost. He will never invade because he's already invested too much into economic and diplomatic wins with Taiwan, means he won't risk it. That was cold conceded in the 1AR. Don't care about new 2AR answers. They also conceded that deterrence is impossible because the EU is split along economic lines, which the US will never be able to solve even with increased climate policy. No solvency.
Okay, 5 minutes.
climate, EU, politics, econ. Has anyone? Warming tipping points are now, which means that only a carbon tax sends the necessary price signal to solve cascading feedback loops. The only evidence that is extended in the 2NR is the solar cycle evidence, which doesn't matter because they have conceded that adaptation fails. That's the IPCC evidence, which means that even if you can win that short-term gains through carbon sequestration, it doesn't matter because we've reached a point where any increase causes lock-in, which decreases resilience. It means that in the future we won't be able to solve, which causes tipping points. Even if they're winning, that it gets cooler in the future, they've dropped that we don't have time to do it because tipping points are in the status quo, which means at best we have a few months or years to solve this. That's the Plumer evidence, which means that even if they can win that in the future the atmosphere gets cooler or solar cycle, they have not read a Brink argument that it's able to solve in time, which means you can default to the affirmative on the price signal and renewables argument. They said this renewables argument on the Giuseppe will answer it here. It doesn't matter if renewables are transitioning now because they're not able to be solved in the status quo because we need the necessary price signal to allow fossil fuel companies to decrease the EU advantage. Chinese influence causes nuclear war. National expansion causes shifts and balances of power, sparking backlash and incentivizing nuclear escalation in Taiwan, SES, and Senkaku Islands. That's the maritime record. The 2NR has fundamentally misconstrued what this advantage said. They said that it deterrence checks and etc. But this doesn't matter because our argument is that China increasing RE supply dependence because dominance causes them to be emboldened to be able to strike Taiwan because they're able to leverage that over other countries. So other countries are unable to sanction or unable to prevent them, which means that it bypasses all of their arguments because they've also dropped that this internal link is controlled by Chinese regional aggression, which means that they would risk it no matter what, which, it's about how they would be emboldened. The status quo means that they're able, like, if we increase their influence, they're able to leverage that and invade. That causes nuclear war. Politics. Presumption wasn't dropped. Shutdown might happen sometime in the future, which wasn't meant to take out their impact uniqueness of the plan happens in the short term because they've dropped the evidence says it's politically popular and that a majority of voters like it. They have dropped evidence saying Republicans are currently nowhere, will be nowhere for a while. Means that the plan can get Congress on board and stop opposition in the short term. Econ. Top level, you are voting out because uniqueness overwhelms the link. That recessions are inevitable. None of their top level stuff in the 2NR assumes this because it doesn't matter if the dissent turns a case if or whatever. We're going for recessions inevitable and that the plan is the only way to solve it. The economy knowing about first is the debt stuff. The economy knowing about rising debt is irrelevant. We've said that in the future this would crowd out investment, which ensures crisis no matter what. Recession inevitable takes out the impact uniqueness because it will happen no matter what the plan solves. It's try or die for app. Then first is the supply chain shock. This is wrong. The 2NR has failed to extrapolate the warrants that the 1 year and 2 weeks ago for this is labor participation, the aging crisis, warming, forced high interest rates and wage price spikes, zombie companies cause price influxes and geopolitical rivalries cause supply shocks. Even if the U.S. is resilient, which they've read evidence about, exchange rate fluctuations, international commodity prices, and global economic trends can all have a spillover effect that triggers domestic inflation. Being from last year's the level because that's meant to take out the impact immediately because the recession will always have the potential to happen, which means that their argument about staying in the Goldilocks zone is wrong. It's about inevitabilization because all of these factors mean in the future it will happen. And the yield curve stuff, it's the strongest predictor of recessions. Multiple indicators are flashing that the yield curve is a more predictable predictor of past recessions. That's Mohammed. I don't have to answer this because I'm going for the credit crunch argument, which is functionally dropped in all of their speeches. Companies defaulted on loans with a 53% so where 81 firms failed to pay loan obligations. Corporate default will ensure this is this is on par with the dot-com burst, which determines recessionary reactions. That's the gold evidence. It was dropped. The last line literally says recessions will create significant pains in the credit market, similar to the dot-com burst, which means that not only do we it cuts off healthy businesses, which determines recessions and global credit markets derive revenue from manufacturing and the sale of physical goods in the real economy, which said recessions are inevitable. It doesn't matter what evidence they've read. The link debate, I'll do it here. The plan solves for economic decline. A, the app increases confidence, it makes the income, creates a social safety net, which increases market competition and product participation broadly, means businesses grow under the app. That's the cook evidence. They say it spooks financials. It won't shrink capital because it's funded through the tax. B, what the heck? B, there's no impact. The dividend will encourage innovation and promote growth with regulatory certainty means empirics prove there's no correlation between government consumption and business confidence effects are insignificant. At least that's the vulgar evidence. And C's demand. I can't think of a better evidence that they've functionally dropped, quote, the boost provided by the dividend on consumer spending and the economy is magnified. The near-term economic benefits of the plan is also increased, and it says that the fee will create economic incentives to invest in new technology more quickly than anticipated, which takes out all of their yields. The only argument that they're going for is this idea of job shirking, which is completely wrong, because if they drop the fact that if people go out of the job, the dividend wouldn't be able to pay for their benefits, which means they want to save the job for economic benefits, employee benefits.
Good debate.